Welcome back, you guys. In today's video, I'm going to break down the 3 big things we learned in yesterday's game. For those talking points, I'm going to focus obviously on Billy Gilmour. I'm going to break down his game. I'm going to just give him so much praise and adulation, and I'm going to give you guys some of my thoughts and opinions on just how good Gilmour did last night. For the other 2 talking points, I'll be speaking more on Kai Havertz, and I'll be speaking about our hopes in this year's UCL campaign. Now that we are qualified for the round of 16, we have an idea on the type of opponents we can come up against. I'm going to tell you guys the teams I'm hoping we get and the teams I'm hoping we don't get whatsoever. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Of course, in the scrolling text underneath, you'll find all the information that you need for the channel. And without wasting any more time, I'm going to get straight in and start speaking about Billy Gilmour. Now, it's quite funny because there was an infamous tweet during the rounds last night. It came from 30 accumulators, and this was a tweet from a few years back, to be honest. In that tweet, they tweeted when we just signed Gilmour that for 500,000, this seems way too pricey, and what's the point of spending all this money when you're signing a young player that's destined to move to Vitesse on loan? So it's just funny when you get to look back at some of these tweets that used to come out back in yesteryear, and you know how you'd think to yourself, how do people get such wrong takes? How do they not see the vision? How do they not see what's happening? These are questions I'm still asking myself, but considering that we signed Gilmour for £500,000, and when you go to transfer market to see his market value at this point in time, he is now valued at 6.75 million. So that is more than 10 times what we originally signed him for. And considering that if we were ever stupid enough, and I have to say stupid enough to sell Gilmour, imagine how much his value would be worth in the market. Reports have come out suggesting that clubs like Napoli have been showing an interest even to try to persuade the player to sign for them in hopes of giving him more game time. So in Europe, across Europe, clubs know, managers know the talent that Gilmour possesses. Last night, Gilmour picked up his 3rd Man of the Match award, and what's crazy about these Man of the Match awards he keeps collecting and racking up right now is that he got 1 in the Premier League, he got 1 in the FA Cup, and now he's got 1 in the Champions League. And what do they all have in common? Well, these are all games that Gilmour made his competitive debut in, and it really tells you everything you need to know about the potential and promise that Gilmour has. From this point on, I think it's only fair that we break down and discuss Gilmour's performance from last night. Now, there's a few observations that I made in the game that really just impressed me thoroughly with Gilmour yesterday, and one thing that stood out to me is the positions he's constantly finding himself in. I mean, you know, he's in the middle, he's further deep on the left-hand side. Look right here, finds the space between the lines. Excellent first touch and looks to take the shot. Now, unlucky that Tammy gets in the way for that, but this is an example of how Gilmour reads the game, his understanding and his confidence to make things happen when he has to. Again, he drops deep to receive, and boom, 1-touch control, 2nd touch pass. Look at the tempo this kid plays with. Look, playing passes between the lines, look at the pace. That's the most important thing I look for. I don't care that you can pass the ball, it's how you pass it. There's levels of this stuff, you guys, and with Gilmour yesterday, you know, he senses the danger. He knows where to move the ball. His reading of the game is excellent, and you know, it's no surprise why he's a player that his teammates will pass to. I think that tells you everything you need to know. I think when teammates are showing that confidence to give passes to Gilmour in risky situations and dangerous areas, it tells you exactly how much they value the player. But as we're seeing here, I love the little skill from Gilmour, that little cut inside, creates a space for the pass, and you know, getting straight in the thick of it. He had a knee injury and he didn't seem phased physically, so this is another great sign to see. I mean, look at that play, you guys. That's a quick reround right here. Boom, that little cover skill right there. You guys that watch cover, you know that skill I'm speaking about. But again, you guys, I can't really stress the importance of passing with pace and tempo. It creates so many openings between the lines, which is important to break teams' defensive structures down. But look, of course, great control. Still maintaining possession. Hey, man like Gilmour. Boom. Look. Head up every single time. Surveying. Head up. First time passes. Wow. I mean, he's a serious football player, and it's no surprise why Lampard is saying that you cannot go. Now, naturally, after Gilmour's performance last night, Lampard kind of hinted and alluded to the fact that Gilmour most likely might be staying in this window. I think this would be the best solution. I think what last night's game showed is that Gilmour is the successor to Kante. Gilmour should be the backup player to Kante. And for me, it's seeing that difference between Gilmour and Jorginho when it comes to the tempo in which they play with. I just think that Jorginho's game doesn't fully suit us, and he has been a major weakness. Gilmour, he demonstrated last night that he has the ability, the confidence and the mentality to take on that responsibility in midfield, and this is yet another player whose form is looking good that is going to force Lampard to make some difficult decisions. So right now, we're in a beautiful situation. Now, we move on to the UCL draw. Now, we move on to the second talking point, and I want to discuss some of our potential opponents in the round of 16. Now, as you guys can see on screen, these are the possible teams we can face in the next round, and to be honest, I do have to say, and maybe I might be getting a bit too gassed and ahead of myself, but I do feel like I'm not worried. I feel like with what I've seen from the team, the fact that we can now defend, the fact that we have strong options off the bench that can change the game, that can make us play with a different system if we have to, I think this gives us an advantage. I think this gives us a great advantage, but just looking at the teams up against potentially Lazio, Barcelona, Porto, either PSG or Leipzig, Ajax or Atlanta, Atleti or Salzburg, Gladbach, Inter, Real or Shakhtar. I mean, that group is looking absolutely mad. Of course, tonight, I'm sure that we're going to be watching that group to see if Inter, Madrid, Shakhtar or Borussia might be going through. But of course, when you get to a stage like this, you're playing against quality teams. I think it's that simple. But the way in which we dismantled Sevilla, the way in which our game plan worked, the way in which we were able to control the game against a great Sevilla team, a Sevilla team that excels in Europe. This was a performance I hadn't seen in Europe for many, many years. Complete domination of a very strong team. And when I see things like that, knowing the fact that as a team we're only going to get better, I feel like we could take on Barca very easily. I don't think Barcelona are as good as they used to be under Koeman. Their tactics are a bit iffy, and I personally think that Barca are currently in a year of transition. We can outpress them. We've got more intensity than them, and as we're seeing, they're struggling in defense right now. You know, Longley, his form this season hasn't been too great, and City isn't the same guy after years of, crazy injuries as well. And they're now turning towards using some of their La Masia grads to help with the team right now. So this is not the same strong Barca team that we know from back in the day. If there are some teams that maybe I'm a bit wary of, I would say Atletico Madrid. I do think with Atleti, they're a team that know how to defend. And against teams like this, they can just force some unbelievable luck for themselves. And for me, my issue is going to be, is our finishing abilities on that type of level where in a tight encounter like this, we are going to seal the win and progress to the next rounds. I'm still not too sure. I think maybe for next season, that's when the team will be fully ready to really start to dominate. And I'd probably say Inter Milan if they were somehow able to, scrape themselves through. Now, even though Conte traditionally does awful in knockout round tournaments, from domestic football to, European football as well, Conte's still Conte. He still knows how to set a team up defensively, and my worry is, are we on that level to consistently break down these low blocks, these, defensive dogged teams? I still need to see more from us for this season. Honestly, any opponent that allows us to play football, I'm looking at teams like Atalanta, I'm looking at Ajax, I'm looking at your Shakhtars, your Salzburgs, etc. Porto as well. Actually, Porto, I can't say Porto again, another strong defensive team. They gave Man City some real issues. So for me, teams that keep the game open, I'm hoping, not only from an entertainment point of view, but from a point of view that we excel against teams that give us space. Let's cross our fingers and hope this draw is good for us, you guys. And for the final talking point, I want to speak about Kai Havertz. Now, of course, yesterday, Kai came out and revealed his frustration at that miss in yesterday's game. Now, a player of his abilities, that first touch should have been perfect. That should have been a little dink or a little bit of composure to get that goal. We didn't see that, but credit to Kai and his mentality. He came out, he was not happy with himself. He's like, I should have done better. I like that type of honesty, and I like that type of self-awareness. I do think that maybe we can be a bit more self-aware with Kai's current situation, and news came out from Builds really just giving us the insight behind Kai's struggles with COVID. Now COVID is an illness that affects people differently, but one thing that people that have these symptoms all share in common is that feeling of lacking energy or feeling constantly exhausted. Now, from reading the article, it seemed like Kai suffered with the worst symptoms from COVID, from the severe headaches. He had to lie in bed for days, a sore throat, and that feeling of tiredness. We have to realize that he was out for a long time. I mean, he missed 3 games, Sheffield United, Newcastle, and Rennes as well. And medical chiefs actually recommended Kai to, take a month out to fully recover due to just how difficult these symptoms were. So, as Kai is constantly stressing in interviews that he's doing recently, I've been out for a while, I really suffered with this thing, and it's really hard for me to get back to full fitness when we're deep into the season right now. When I've been out, not being able to train or run or get any fitness, feeling absolutely exhausted. It's a shame he got it, but I do feel like it's going to take him maybe a few more weeks and more games to fully get back to the form he was starting to show glimpses of before he got COVID. So for me, this was an opportunity to show some patience towards Kai Havertz. I thought Havertz's general involvement in the game was okay yesterday. He was drifting a lot down the right channels and down the right flanks as well, looking to do some combination plays there, looking to link up wide with the fullback too. And you'd imagine that ideally he prefers to play alongside a Reece James, who is just perfect to play with down the flanks. But I was seeing a lot of determination to try and make things happen. He was looking to take his man on more. He was more willing to do that. We saw some step overs, we saw some 1v1 action, and a lot of times we were seeing Kai trying to create the opportunities to take shots on goal. Now you can imagine that Kai wants to get his numbers up. I felt like in yesterday's game though, some of his teammates kind of let him down. There was a few times where, to play at this level, to play alongside top great players, sometimes you need to have that awareness, needs to have the understanding, and I felt like that was lacking in yesterday's game. If Kai is purposely delaying his run to move inside the box, I feel like that needs to be spotted. I feel like, he could have had more luck on goal if he got better service around him. But at the same time, when he had moments to take responsibility and just take the game away for us, he was not able to do that. But for me, I see enough from Kai's overall involvement in the play, from the first time touches to the first time playing passes to the movement in and around the box as well. I feel like it's very interesting, and to give my closing thoughts, we have to remember that with Kai, he has not played in one defined position in his entire career. I think now he's signed for us, this is the first time that will probably happen, and it seems like his future is going to be playing on the right side of a midfield 3. So let's have more patience, let's see what happens. And you guys, on that note, I'm going to wrap things up and keep things moving. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment and subscribe. I'm the EFC, this is Blue Lions TV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos.